Hi everyone, welcome to this recording of the 11th MTG Old Frame League finals. The first finals that we have in the tournament on Commander format. My name is Victor and I will be sharing with you this video and this battle between Vedast and Karl. Vedast is here with me too. Vedast, say hi. How's it going?
Hello.
Well,
Finally.
we are not going to say anything about the results right now because we don't want to spoil it for the people who are watching. I know that you were playing. We have you on the right hand side as Karl was setting up everything for the match. I know you were playing Sliver Queen as your commander because you wanted to have access to all the colors. How did it feel? How was this tournament for you? The whole tournament, not necessarily the finals.
Well, actually, I enjoy this format a lot because it's a format where you can play almost all the most powerful MTG cards, and also it's the opportunity to also play some stuff that you never see anywhere else because it's not good enough.
Yeah, that's
And
yeah.
and it has like that nostalgic component of when we started playing Magic and we just built decks with too many cards because we liked everything,
Yeah,
too
absolutely.
many colors.
Yeah, that is something that has been very interesting for me. There was some mulligan, by the way, on both hands on the first match. I think Karl was also playing Sliver Queen, right?
Yeah.
I cannot see his proxy well, but yeah, he was too. Yeah, it's very interesting because, as you were mentioning, there are two things there. One is this like nostalgia side of it where clearly it's optimal to play the best cards, like play 4 copies of the best cards if possible. But that's not how we played at the beginning, because maybe you couldn't afford them or you couldn't find them or you were using only cards from the packs. So you were mostly using one of a kind, which is one of the requisites of the Commander format. And also there is the fact that a lot of cards, because there is a clear one that is better, like for instance, a lot of like drawing spells are going to never be used in a format like Vintage because there is Brainstorm, there is Ancestral Recall, etc. A lot of those cards are never used. You can use them now, and I'm going to guess that you can even like figure out like some sideboard or some like alternative cards to play for like more fixed meta game formats.
Yeah, this is the place where you can play things you wouldn't play in Old Frame Vintage. For example, you're not just playing Mana Drain or Force of Will or Misdirection, which you are playing there already. Here, here you also include things like Forbid or Miscalculation or
Or
Memory
even
Lapse.
Counter Strike, which is fun, like to see like the good old Counter Strike, Counter Spell, sorry, not Counter Strike, being played. Uh, Very very fun to see like actually someone paying 2 blue for a counter spell and it's not a mana drain.
Mm.
But yeah, we see. If I'm not mistaken, this is where like both of you kept your hands
Yes.
already. I think it was just a mulligan to 6 on both sides. And I also think who won the toss? I don't remember who was starting. Was it Karl that started? Well, we're about to. Oh no, it was you. Yeah, so you play
Yeah.
a fetch line. I see. No. It's an underground river, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Hmm. And that's another thing, right? Like you don't necessarily see all the dual lands only because obviously you can only play one of each.
Of course, you have to play lands that you normally wouldn't play, like the Odyssey filter lands or other like less powerful versions of dual lands.
Hmm. So island for Karl, and pass. Of course, another thing that people will notice very quickly if they're used to playing the vintage format, either of Old Frame or any of the other old school formats, is that this is a format that tends to be more slow because, well, there is like the deck size is higher, like there's one of each. You are not always going to have like the best possible hand, even if you mulligan.
Yeah, you don't have the consistency of, for example, if you were playing for Mishra's Workshop, out of a 60 card deck, the probability of having it in your starting hand is much higher than here, way higher, around 6 times as high. So this is quite more volatile.
And despite that, the first spell played by Karl is a Brainstorm, which is like probably the first spell that you would play in a lot of like vintage matches too. So I know that you are a big fan of the foils, a big collector of foil cards with us too. I do like the Ice Age Brainstorm way more than the Mercarian Mask one though. But
I mean, this is nothing personal. I also generally prefer the original printing, but well, this is one of the cases that the reprint is nice and it's the first foil version. So most people, most pin players or collectors prefer this one. But I see the point of just preferring the original printing. I have both just in case.
Of course you do. Yeah, and I guess it's also nostalgic for me because I started playing with Ice Age, so really and my memory obviously is not that good, so I don't know what happened, but I'm pretty sure that I probably was one of these guys that traded like my Brainstorm for, you know, a 4/4 or monster just because I thought like what's the point on like drawing cards that you're going to put back and you're like again, you know, things like that. So it's Mox Diamond discarding a volcanic island there, and well, that was that had to scare you when you saw that played in the pretty much like third turn, I think, or second turn. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, but
third turn.
I let him do because I was saving. If I had a counter spell, which I don't remember, I was saving it for something else.
Oh yeah, what a turn! Yeah.
That second turn. Well, that
third turn. Yeah. Quiet. So we have a fast bone.
Second because he played fast bone. Yeah, it was.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah. And memory jar, and that was just so. Again, like in a turn, the land, diamond, then another land because of the fast bone, another land, and then the memory jar. And yeah, you had to counterspell that, of course, because it would have given him a fresh hand where he didn't have any cards pretty much anymore.
And on top of that, he had the fast bond, which made the memory jar even stronger.
Yeah, because
he just had the force of will. That couldn't resolve.
Yeah. So, with the with the force of will on the stack, you also played the brainstorm. Was it because?
No, that was at the end of.
At the end of his turn. Okay. So yeah, like very timely force of will, like they always are. And one thing that is very interesting too, obviously in this format is, and sometimes I think we tend, or at least maybe because I haven't played it myself so much, is you tend to forget that you actually have a commander. You have a card that you can that is in your hand, so to speak.
So it makes the format quite different from others. Actually, when I used to play much more, what I played was singleton, not commander, which is more similar to regular Magic.
Yeah. Okay, Vampiric Tutor from Karl. And I guess in this format, what is your opinion? Because like it feels like in this format, tutors have even more value than normally. Because
yeah, it makes sense.
it's so
Because
hard to choose, like to draw by chance the right card, right?
Yeah, it makes sense because many cards you would play 4 off, you can just play 1, and this way you can find them more easily. At this point, I did something that I'm not sure if I did well, which is after he tutored, I destroyed his Solarian Academy, if I don't remember incorrectly, and I did this to make sure that he didn't. I think I didn't have a counter spell at that point. So what I tried to avoid is him playing some broken stuff. So I destroyed the Tolarian Academy, but I remember I had a Factor Fiction and no other lands. So by sacrificing my Stream Mine, I was potentially delaying my Factor Fiction. So I'm not sure if this was the right play or what. And I guess he didn't have any cards in hand. We can't see it here. For future videos, maybe we should do it in some way that we can see that well.
Yeah, absolutely. You are right.
I
Somehow,
think he didn't have anything.
either showing the hand or having like a counter there for the hand size. Definitely, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, and in all fairness, it's something that is good for the players to know too, right? At all times, you know, in a way, because you are not, when you are face to face, obviously, clearly you see how many cards are there, but sometimes it's difficult, like when you are playing in video, like to keep track of those things. All right.
It's hard to show everything on camera.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, you know, like we like this is just we do it for hobby. Like most of us, like we don't have a proper like setup for streams and things like that. But yeah, there's a Wheel of Fortune there, another draw 7 spell.
I had a counter spell, yeah.
And you did have a counter spell there, a forbid.
I'm not sure if it makes sense to destroy the Tolarian Academy now.
And you destroyed, yeah, the Tolarian Academy there, yeah.
I don't remember what was I scared of, if I already had a counter spell.
I mean, it does definitely look like he had no cards in hand, because he was just, he just drew this one and straight up play the green monolith.
I think it would have been better to keep the Stream Mine, so at this point I would have been able to play the Factor Fiction.
Yeah. Yeah, because essentially you're giving him time to draw something, even though so far it's not looking like it's going anywhere for him. You play another land too, so you are on Factor Fiction land already.
Yeah.
And there it is.
Yeah, if the game gets stagnant, I have advantage because I'm playing control instead of combo. So I start playing stuff like this, like a Factor Fiction, and then it will be hard for him to win.
Yeah, and actually that is a point that we haven't made up until now, right? That even though both of you are playing the same commander, the decks are very different. Karl is more focused on comboing with Storm mostly, if I'm not mistaken, or at least from what I saw on the match, was you were very focused on having like control of the match, with more counter spells, with a lot more cards that react to what the opponent is playing.
Yes, and card advantage in general. Yeah, he was playing other than 10 reels, Volt key plus time Volt, which I was also including in my deck. But on top of that, the main difference is that I had more disruption and card advantage in general.
Yeah. So the Factor Fiction there, a lot of, by the way, finally it shows there the card up there. And I finally had time to manage whilst I was like streaming this live on our Twitch channel. And we see there was a little bit of lag there on your side. But yeah, the factor fiction there, like getting rid of a lot of mana for you, which is always good. Like 5 turns of like drawing mana that you kind of skip with that.
In this format, being mana flooded is way less problematic than usual because you just play your commander and can win that way.
Correct.
So it's not like in most games. Here just accumulating mana is very advantageous, especially with a commander like Sliver Queen, which is costly, and then you can start adding tokens.
Yeah, that's the great thing, right? Like, and obviously the main reason why Sliver Queen is probably the best commander, or at the very least the one that made it to the finals twice, so is obviously because of the fact that it is one of the very few commanders that allows the use of all 5 colors. But I guess another thing that is definitely not irrelevant is that Sliver Queen is one of the best mana sinks of the Old Frame format. You can just put...
Actually, I wasn't sure about playing this commander or the other option, which is Chromat, which is also like some kind of morphling, let's say.
Yeah.
So it was also something decent, but I'm not sure which one is better. I would say it's the one I played, but I don't think Chromat is a bad option. In the top 4 we saw another player using it. I think the most important thing here, the most advantageous thing is just being able to play 5 colors, so you can play all the moxes and all the good stuff in general. It's so beneficial. Yeah. Well, he looked for an ancestral recall, which is the typical thing you do with a merchant scroll.
Absolutely.
And then he played, and I countered it somehow. That's it.
Yeah, he was on top deck mode for a bit, and he managed to get that.
Oh no, I didn't have a counter spell yet. I just played Skeletal Scrying in response.
Oh yeah, correct. Yeah, you play Skeleton for 3, I think.
Yes.
I know because when you play the Skeletal for 3 is where I think when I realized that I had been forgetting about like counting the life at that time. So I was like, oh wait, like what's going on? And in fact it's not going to be updated until a second from now. But yeah, like this of course, like something to keep in mind. What are you playing? That is
Prohibit.
Yeah, Prohibit, exactly. So
this counters anything that costs 2 or less.
2 or less, correct. And that is that's what you got with the Skeletal Scrying. It's like that counter that you didn't have on hand at the moment.
I think I don't remember if I already had it. Maybe I was looking for a misdirection or something.
Something else. Okay. Oh yeah, that would have been fun to misdirect the ancestrals. Is always it's up there, like one of the top humiliation things you can do on old school format. When they top deck an ancestral and you say, oh, thank you for that. I was like, I just had like only a misdirection in my hand and I was flooded, so now I have 3 cards to play with.
Yeah, it's hard to recover from that.
Yeah, absolutely. Here we have the regrowth.
A factor fiction.
Okay. So you see the Prohibit there on the screen, as you were saying. Is counter spell if converted mana cost is 2 or less. You didn't play the you didn't pay the kicker cost. You didn't have the mana up, right?
So there wasn't.
Yeah, because it was you had only you had just played the Skeletal Scrying. So
I think that counter spell is quite decent. I played another one that I'm not convinced about, which is Memory Lapse. But I think Prohibit is quite decent because in this kind of commander there are so many cheap spells. Unlike in like a less powerful commander where you don't have all the power 9 and all of that.
Yeah.
There's usually some use for it. Okay, so another factor fiction.
I think memory. The problem with memory lapse is that it just is a temporal counter, right? It's the one that puts on the top of the deck, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, second factor friction. Another time, like a lot of lands, of course, as you were saying, lands are not that big of a problem because you are at this point you are very close already, like to casting Sliver Queen, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
I think you are missing one color, I think, or
I think I would play next turn.
okay, yeah. So and the other card is Undermined. Yeah, that we have it there. Finally, I'm catching up on like showing the cards as they appear. So yeah, Undermined, very very cool card from this invasion like cycle of double colored cards and counter target spell. You lose 3 lives. Very
It's
cool.
fun to be able to play with cards like this again that you don't see anywhere. For example, Undermine, you don't even see it in pre-modern. It's fun to
Yeah, because obviously like Undermine compared to most of the counter spells that are usually played in pre-modern or in old frame formats is just too costly and
it's not good enough.
yeah.
Absorb it's better. You see Absorb in pre-modern. And at this point, I guess I will play the Sliver Queen because I was already looking for a land in my turn.
Yeah, exactly. You went for the Taiga, which is the red mana that I think it was the one that you were missing. And you have now all of the colors. And then the commander Sliver Queen makes appearance, and at this point the life is finally updated. So you are at 14, but most importantly, Karl is at 17. And not a lot going on for him, unfortunately, as not even with the Ancestral Recall he could recover since it was countered.
In some way he gambled. Well, I mean, it was the correct play. He just played that early Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah.
And I mean, Memory Jar after unloading his whole hand. So if that had resolved, it would have been extremely different.
Yeah, I
Because
mean,
I counted that he didn't have any remaining cards, and I mean, from that point it was very hard for him to do anything.
And I guess in this format is a format where you can take more risks too, just because again, your hands are not always that good. So you know, if there is 60 cards and 4 Force of Wheels, then that's a different story. But like, I mean, there's only one Force of Wheel. You don't have access to a lot of mana. I don't know if even you were tapped out at the time he played the Memory Jar, or you only had like 1 mana available. So obviously the chances of a counter spell are way lower in that regard. So there it is, like the Sliver Queen already with the first token. For those one who don't know, like you can see the card there, it's a 7/7 that makes 1/1 token, so it's an attack for 8 points of damage that Karl takes, going down to 9. And at this point, well, unless there's something to kill that creature, that's pretty much a game for you. Is next turn. You don't even need to do much.
Yeah, and I had 7 cards in hand.
Yeah, well, that's it. So Karl doesn't draw anything, I think, at this point. And well, he's taking a second, so I guess he was considering something from the card he had drawn. Oh no, he had considered already. Okay. So yeah, there it goes. First match goes to you. And that was very interesting first match with like the Sliver Queen showing already that is probably one of the most important, well, as we were discussing, is up there definitely on the top of the commanders for this format, and I think it's going to be moving forward too, even if this format obviously right now is still on the early stages, so we still don't know whether like or how things will evolve, but I don't see Sliver Queen going anywhere in the near future for sure.
Yeah, the thing is that it's a commander that it's actually good. It's not a useless creature that you just play to be able to play 5 colors. It's
Hmm.
something that, I mean, I could play this deck without any other win condition, and I think it would be fine probably
Hmm.
because you just play control and and play that creature, and it's hard to get rid of it.
Correct.
I
Yeah,
mean, well, it's not hard to get rid of it, but I can protect it with lots of counter spells and all that. So
yeah. Hmm.
it's probably when it hits the table, it's it's probably good enough.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it is true that Chromat, I don't know, I just love Chromat, right? Because it gives you so much utility.
It's
Um,
something similar to a Morphling.
exactly. Um, Obviously, the difference being that it's multicolor, so it's harder to cast, but also it allows you to play all 5 colors, which we have said it's very relevant in this format. Um, I don't know, like I feel probably Sliver Queen is better than Chromat. Mm, I want to think is probably the case, but I also can see me struggling not to pick a Chromat instead of a Sliver Queen to play in this format because it's just such a cool card.
Yeah, I don't think it would be a bad option. The only thing is that you need lots of mana to make it like to use its abilities, and also you need specific mana. So I don't know how good would it be,
Mm.
and also it deals less damage with Sliver Queen.
Yeah.
Probably in 2 turns you can win because of the tokens that you add. That Chromat takes longer, which can be important too.
Hmm.
I don't know. It could be tried.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, like the abilities of Chroma are way less relevant. Like, I mean, in general, just giving it flying or regenerating it. I mean, it can be like very very useful in a timely manner, and if you have the mana available. But of course, like the fact that you can do just an endless amount of 1/1 tokens with the Sliver Queen. I guess it makes it just so much better. But we are on to game 2, and Karl starts by fetching land, and look at that! Like this time I counted the life straight away. It was very very fun for me also, like to follow the game and see that people on our Twitch channel, like MTG Old Frame Twitch channel, they were like following through too. And I'm looking forward to being able to do more of these, more live tournaments, not necessarily only of the finals, if people are like agreeing to that. So as you can see, we have like the score. Like I'm trying like to figure out like the best way to place it too. So I think I'll end up putting it down there in the middle. And
Carl plays a slide of
Mhm.
hand. Well, Japanese, of course.
It's so fun because it's either like pimp or a black and white print.
Yeah, he didn't even have swamps or some common cards. Well, sometimes it happens.
So yeah, sleight of hand. I don't know why I didn't put it up there, or if I put it later. But yeah, just for those who might not know, oh, there it is, and the original one from Portal. Look at the top 2 cards on your of your library and put one of them into your hand and the other on the bottom of your library. I like it that Carl is so careful that he puts his deck in 2 piles so that it doesn't fall.
Yeah, because he plays with
With three sleeves.
default sleeve. Yeah, because he's playing with beta power 9 and
Yeah.
very expensive cards. So
Okay,
makes sense.
and there is the library, and
Yeah,
library. It's and then straight away the voltaic key. And library is one of these cards. Whenever I see, like, it's a card that I keep on forgetting about it. I don't know why. And whenever I see it, I keep on forgetting that you need to have like 7 cards in hand. And then I think for a second, this is terrible. Like, and then I realize how it is not terrible. You can control very, very easily your hand size, and is a draw 1 per turn, right? So it's a mental card.
Maybe it's, I don't know if this is exaggerating, but maybe it's the best card. I mean, it's so ridiculously broken. In some other rounds of the tournament, I just use demonic tutor to look for the library or things like that. It's so powerful, especially in this format that it's a bit slower. If you play library early, like in this game, it's going to be very hard for your opponent to.
Yeah, I guess the only thing that it doesn't, and by the way, as a Mystic Remora there that is going to feel the hand of Karl as you play spells unless you take care of it. But yeah, I guess the only problem that I've always had with library is that whenever I've played it, and it was always a token because I had never had an actual one, I think. Whenever I've played it, or whenever I've drawn it, it was a top deck. And when you are looking for a top deck, a library is definitely not what you have nothing on hand and you draw a library. That's the worst feeling ever. But yeah, I can see how like in this particular game you drew it. I guess in your starting hand or very early. It's just so broken.
Yes. In this game, for example, my approach could be, well, as you will see, I'm not doing that. I'm going more aggressively. I just play a time vault on second turn,
And that
and I could be winning here already. If
yeah,
I don't do anything.
exactly. And
But he did something, and it was quite good. You will see.
so we
Yeah,
have
and
like
now
the combo ready already, and then
plays a Horkil's Recall. That was so good.
and the Hercules is on response to you tapping the key, I guess, right?
Yes, in
Because
response of untapping
of untapping the because obviously, like I was thinking, can you not tap? But it was on response to the untapping, so you don't get the extra turn. But yeah, like
Here it's especially powerful because we have the Remora.
yeah, and obviously like even better with the Remora because essentially means like, oh, you can go back to try to play the combo, but I'm going to draw 1 card for each of those spells that you play, right? So what a beautiful card this Hercules Recall, by the way, the Antiquities one. Oh my god. So yeah, all artifacts are returned to the hand, and you also had a Mox Sapphire, so it's even more cards that you need to play. And of course, like the Tolarian right now, and the library, like you have 2 lands and you have literally no mana. So
Yeah, so here my approach was to make him either sacrifice the Remora or to keep paying a lot of mana to keep it online. But if he chose to do that, it would be better for me because I have library, so I keep drawing more. So
yeah, I guess
it wasn't that bad.
I guess at this point it's just like the waiting game, the cumulative upkeep gets big very quickly. You just need 3 turns and it's unsustainable already. So
Yeah, here in hindsight, maybe I shouldn't have played the time vault so aggressively. I could just play it slower and just keep drawing with the library and play it later with some counter spell backup or something. Well, what I thought is if he counters it or something, I don't care that much because I would just keep drawing more than him with the library, so I didn't care about losing the combo somehow.
So yeah, in a way, it feels like now I think it's a time where like this match turns into a little bit of a stalemate, like a bit of a waiting or a war of attrition really between you two. Like on the one hand, like Karl is hoping for you to play spells, and you are just like, well, I have my library, I have my lands. Like I'm just not going to do much of it if I don't need to. Keep on accumulating cards. So this is a chromatic sphere, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Yeah. A monochrome chromatic sphere.
Yeah. He doesn't have the cheap cards, but he has a better power name.
Yeah, exactly. He's playing a beta Mox Emerald, using a beta Mox Emerald to play a photocopied chromatic sphere.
Yeah, so basically my approach here is just to let him sacrifice the. Well, here I let him draw, I guess, because I prefer that instead of discarding it. And that way, okay, I did this so the Tolarian Academy would at least give me one
card.
mana.
Yeah. Oh yeah, of course, yeah, and also I guess then you are, I don't know if you had it in hand, but you are in a place where you can play a mana drain, you can play a counter spell now.
I'm counter spell, yes. That's why I play the Mox.
Yeah.
Even if I let him draw. And and also so I will have 7 cards and I was able to draw with
exactly. So you are essentially not losing hand size. Your hand continues to be full, but you are. And yeah, unfortunately for Karl, like it gets, I think it was already at 2 or 3. It's already like you are going to use all of your mana. It doesn't make sense anymore. He knows that you are. I guess if you were at a point where you don't have like the library, you can wait longer. But like when you know that the opponent is always going to have like 7 cards in hand and just play land, it doesn't make sense. You are not forcing anything, just wasting your time really and giving opponent more advantage. So a pity, because Mystic Remora is actually a card that I find to be very interesting in these formats where obviously you have all the Moxes, all the very cheap spells that they are like opponent could like easily, or well, even if the opponent is playing like a Storm or something like that, suddenly you have like 10 opportunities to draw a counter spell or things like that. So there's a Dark Ritual.
I didn't play Mystic Remora. I had it initially in my deck, but I don't know. It's a card I have never played before, so I wasn't very convinced about how good it is.
Okay.
And also I didn't have any, and I didn't want to play proxies.
That's the real we know that's the real reason. So we have a green monolith there, and that would be I think that the second spell for the turn.
Yes.
Tons of mana there. Two black floating plus the monolith, and there is a memory jar already as a third spell. So Karl again like trying to combo with the memory jar, and you have the mana drain, of course, and that's why you play in retrospect. That's obviously why you play the Sapphire, right? To be able to
and also to be able to draw with the library. It didn't. It was clear. And then he just conceded because he knew I had.
Yeah, and then exactly.
I had the combo in hand.
You had the combo in hand, and probably he didn't have any way to stop it, so he just conceded, and it went to game 2. And for me, actually there was a moment where there was like a bleep on the recording, and I remember like I saw you shuffling, both of you, and I thought like, what's going on? Because last thing I saw was the memory jar being played. And when you play a memory jar, you don't normally concede afterwards, even if it's counter. Like, oh well, I guess if it's counter, sometimes you can, as it was this case. But like, I was a bit lost until I suddenly remembered that you had Voltaic Key and Time Vault on your hand, and then I was like, okay, well, I know why he conceded now. It's absolutely like if you don't have a counter, you know that this is coming next turn, or this is coming soon enough.
I mean, anyway, even if I didn't have the combo, next turn I would have 5 colorless mana because of the mana drain, plus 8 cards in hand. I mean,
Yeah, you could hard cast pretty much anything. Yeah,
Well, it's colorless mana, so I can't play the Sliver Queen.
that is true. That is true. That is true. But if you had the color, you have like 2 tokens there, 2.5 tokens there already.
Yeah, well,
Anyways, so yeah, I mean, game number 2, and I was a bit disappointed when I realized that he had conceded, because again, it felt like, and I know that obviously you don't play through it, but like, just see the combo of Time Ball and Voltaic Key on the playmat, you know, like on it's so cool. And of course, you had it before the Urkil's recall, but still, like, it's just, these are the kind of things like you wouldn't think of like anyone really or like using them, or like maybe like I don't know how many. I mean, you've played the tournaments, the Old Frame League, since the first edition. Have you seen a lot of people playing the combo in a regular like vintage deck?
well, yes, there are several decks that play it, so it's something that has been seen in every edition of our league.
Okay.
In some Tendrils decks, some Storm decks played it, then some decks evolved to just going for the Tendril skill.
Yeah.
Then some other kind of decks also play the combo. I mean, it's just so powerful, let's say. As long as you have both cards and not that much mana, you just win.
Hmm.
But when you compare it to, for example, Tendrils, I mean, Tendrils can just win alone. It's just one card.
Yeah. 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 Absolutely. And and I guess like every card that sets you up for Tendrils is taking you there, whilst Voltaic Key and Time Bolt like they don't interact that much with the rest of the deck.
Yeah, exactly. They are dead cards. Well, I mean, Tendrils is a dead card too, unless you have enough.
Don't underestimate the 2 damage and the 2 life for 4 mana. Sometimes it can be relevant.
Sometimes maybe if you have a bargain or something,
Yeah.
and you do a small Tendrils, maybe it's helpful.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No, but yeah, obviously, yes. I know it's sleight of hand now.
Yes.
Sleight of hand.
Again.
Another example of a card that I would rather have like in the original, even if it's not foil.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, the original is always a respectable option.
As long as it's an old frame card, right? Look at that. I increased the size for it to be right.
The art is from Phil Foglio, which I like his art. It's very characteristic, like
absolutely,
from cartoons or something more humoristic.
Yeah, you have like so many. I mean, I think probably my first favorite card, which is in hindsight probably like a terrible. I mean, it's not. That's definitely not like a great card, but like. I think one of the main reasons that I love it was the art by, I think it's by Phil too, and it's the Kumbach witches.
I'm not sure. Maybe
I don't know if it's Phil or is his wife or.
It's not Phil Foglio. I'm not sure which, because I collect his cards. I
Oh,
have
so
all
he's
of
not?
them, and that's all one of them. Okay, so here I play Box Diamond
Mhm.
and then a Duress. And he's showing lots of good stuff. And Pig Tutor, Skeletal Scrying Balance, Memory Jar, and then Delta and Swamp. So
Yeah,
I
very
remove the
very
Vampiric.
good, very good hand indeed. And you go for the
Yeah.
Vampiric, which I guess makes sense because it's pretty much fix you anything you want.
And yeah, I mean, that's something he will be able to play already, like in his upkeep already, and then cast an Ancestral Recall or something. while the other cards weren't that dangerous yet.
Mhm.
Yeah, the problem is that I didn't have mana, I think.
Yeah, you have the diamond. You discarded a fetch land for it, I think, right? Or it feels like it was a fetch land. I don't remember exactly. Oh, by the way, like going back to the Kumbach Witches, indeed is from Kaya Folio, not from Field
Okay,
Folio.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's why I consider them both as a unit. So
Yeah,
that's what it
they have
reminds me.
similar art.
Hmm.
But here is where I drew a mock spell, so at least I have a bit more mana.
Mhm.
Karl was getting ready for the skeletons crying. At this point, he could already do it for 3 after sacrificing the delta.
Yep. And you keep on drawing land.
Something I like about this format is that you see balance, which is one of my favorite cards, which is a card that you don't see in Old Frame Vintage because
Hmm.
it's not good enough in general.
Yeah. Very
It's a really
situational.
powerful card, but yeah,
It's a
it
very
can be
powerful.
very broken, but also useless many times. So
Yeah. But I mean, beautiful art, like one of the
yes.
like classic. I think probably for a long time was like I might be saying something wrong right now, but it feels for a long time it was considered together with the swords like the most powerful white card, I guess. I'm trying to think of a better
Yeah, I mean
one. It was probably
it's
that one.
very powerful. In old school, you see it much more often, or
Mhm.
Alpha 40 or this kind of formats. But already in Old Frame Vintage, it's rare to see.
And as you were
Yeah,
saying
the
before,
text.
the skeletal for 3 there. No, for 4 is it?
Yeah, I can't tell it. Yeah, forbid.
Hmm.
This was a bit risky because it was at the end of my turn, so now he would be able to
Anything he wanted, yeah.
play something like the jar. I
And
don't
so
know if maybe I had a Force of Will in hand or something. I don't remember. We'll see what happens.
I would say probably you have to have a counter there because otherwise, like to me, it's even if it's like an ancestral or something like that. At the end of my turn,
Hmm.
I don't want to lose any possibility of countering without for a draw spell because
Yeah.
there's always the chance of like the person having on hand already what they need, and then
I mean, he had the jar, so
I mean, of course, yeah, he had already a jar, so it's not like he didn't have it.
maybe I wasn't scared of the jar because I didn't have much to
Much
do
on
or
your
something.
hand,
I
yeah.
don't remember exactly.
Regardless, we go into this like typical phase of this format. I feel where like there's not much going on, and again, is normal with like these formats that have just one of each card, and sometimes you don't draw what you need or you don't draw the mana that you need, even though obviously like mana screw is way more difficult with all the moxes going on and all the fetch lands too, but
Yeah, maybe if one of us was playing some aggressive deck, but I think aggressive decks are not good enough in the format because commanders and cards in general those days weren't that good.
yeah,
To play that in a deck.
you didn't have a billion playable cards for 1 mana and for 2 manas in terms of aggressive cards like creatures, you know, whereas
Yeah, I
you know
mean it's hard to find 100. I mean, if it was 60 cards, maybe you could build something, but there are not probably that many good cards to fill the deck. You have to play combo or control here, I think.
I mean, it would be interesting to win with a Cobalt deck, though. Or like, you know, card deck the best.
Yeah, and there are not that many good commanders. It's not like nowadays in regular commander that there are so many super broken commanders. Here, there are not that many good options.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, actually, my only experience really with Commander, surprisingly, is like in like more recent formats when I was playing in arena more. I was playing like even, and there were like some formats that were even like just with like common cards plus a commander, and already were like way more broken than a lot of the things that we see here. Like the power spike in Magic in the past 10 years or so has been just mental.
Yeah.
But nothing beats the Old Frame, though. Is there that
Yeah.
flavor and that feeling? What do we have there? That is a high tide, right?
Yes, this is interesting because it also makes my islands get one extra mana, so it's not that terrible. But well, at this point I didn't care, so I had probably some counter spell and I was waiting for something more dangerous.
Mm. So yeah, you see the card there. Until the end of turn, all islands produce an additional blue when tapped for mana. He's got in there a swamp, I think, and an island. So 2 blue and 1 black. He leaves 1 blue behind. He plays. What is that?
One ritual.
Oh, yeah.
And at this point, I already expected. I mean, either the memory jar or some kind of storm spell coming.
Mm-hmm.
Probably Mind Desire or just Tendrils. But Tendrils probably not because he didn't have that many cards. Well, I let him do because nothing was dangerous yet. I mean, scary.
So yeah, 4 mana floating, 2 more lands, and the second blue from the Tundra. Oh, just thinking about it. Three black and the Yawmoth's Wheel. And obviously,
The idea was the same.
This is clearly when you know, yeah, probably something is going to be going on now in terms of.
The thing is that I had a stifle in my hand, and this is key, as we will see.
That beautiful stifle. How many times have
I let him resolve it because I wasn't scared of a Mind's Desire or something like that. Because I had Stifle and some other counter spells in hand on top of that. So I let him resolve the Yawmoth Wheel too, which is usually a bad idea. But it wasn't that dangerous here because he could just replay the High Tide and Cabal Ritual, not so, and maybe play a Skeletal
Scrying, yeah. I mean, there is no card that kills you on this graveyard right now, so at least. So I guess.
Yeah, he was just getting more mana and more storm count, but I didn't care because I had Stifle.
So yeah, second High Tide. So the islands now produce 3 blue. Well, 2 extra blue, I just said. Because this could be 1 black and 2 blue, for instance, because of the Underground Sea, and I think it is indeed. Oh no, I use all blue. He plays the Cabal Ritual, so 5 black. And yeah, the storm is at 5 with the 2 High Tides and 2 Cabal and the wheel. So leaves 1 black behind, using 6 mana for my favorite card. This is Mind's Desire.
I know it would have been fun to see the result, but I couldn't let it.
You broke. This is where Vedast broke my heart, by playing the fucking Stifle on the Storm trigger.
Man's Desire is such a ridiculously broken card in
And-
many situations.
Yeah, and I just like, to be honest, I just like the whole not only the fact, because Mind's Desire could be remove the top card from your library, and until the end of the turn you can play it without paying its mana cost. But then they added the shuffle your library, right? And that that beginning is just, it makes it so much more fun for me, because it's like the whole process of like, if someone doesn't want to give up and doesn't concede, like the whole process of like shuffling your deck every single time as you see their dreams and hope like fly away, as you keep on like showing like 4 or 3 mana spell 3 mana cost spells like being drawn, you know, a lot of utility, things like that, and you're like, oh my fucking like, are you not going to concede yet? Okay, let's get something else. This is I think back in the day, you know, of like early 2000s, like with the release of around the time of release of Mirror Reading, I would say like the extended format with a lot of decks with Mind's Desire like that. Those decks like were amazing.
Mono blue, I remember.
Those decks
Mono
were,
blue with Sapphire, Medallion.
my god, like I remember playing with tokens that deck at my place for hours on my own, just because of how fun the Storm triggers were. So yeah, but like Stifle there, killing the fun, and
It just had a Sulfur Springs.
and the only thing he gets is a fucking Sulfur Springs.
Yeah, and now he plays out Skeletal Scrying for 1. I think that's the only thing he can do. So quite
He had 1 black left, floating. So he does, okay, let's do Skeletal Scrying for 1. And what could have been a very broken turn turns out to pretty much nothing at all, just because of that little Stifle guy.
Exactly. He used so many cards. He used 4 different cards and all of his mana, and I just stopped everything with the Stifle. I mean, that could be seen as lucky from my side that I happen to have the Stifle, but I mean, otherwise I will have countered the Jaumoth Wheel or something else. So it's not like I didn't have more options.
Anyways, I'm going to say like you have a
Yes, a bit. I had to use Regrowth to get back the Sulfur Springs, so I could have 1 mana of every
each
color.
color,
and be
yeah.
able to play the Sliver Queen later. With this actually, it seemed like a suboptimal play or something. Maybe it was better to get the Forbid back, but I mean, I was able to play the Sliver Queen the next turn and win potentially that way. So it was relevant.
I'm going to guess also at this point, as you were saying, you had a counter spell probably in your hand, because otherwise,
Yeah.
let's for a person who just got a Mind's Desire Stifled, Karl has a very good hand, and you know, like he has the Memory Jar, he has the balance. We don't see the other 2 cards, but like it's not, everything is not lost for him just yet.
Yeah, exactly.
That being said, those 5 untapped lands there scare me a little bit. I always, like, you know, when I see 5 untapped lands in these formats, I fear the
Here I did
worst,
something.
and the
This
worst
was
came.
I had casted the Force of Will, and I'm not sure if this was the correct play because obviously I didn't have any more mana, so I couldn't do anything. But he still had 2 lands, so he could still do something. While I could have just casted a counter spell, which I had in hand, and kept some mana for another. I think I had a memory lapse too, so instead of playing the Force of Will, I could have played one of the counter spells and have another one ready.
Okay,
I'm
yeah.
not sure if this was the right play or what.
It doesn't sound like the
Because
right play. It sounds like the fancy play.
as you see, he plays the mana drain, which is especially bad because now when he breaks the memory jar, he will get 5 mana to do all kinds of evil stuff. So
Yeah.
this I could have lost here.
Yep.
Just at this point. I mean, when he draws 7 and he has 5 colorless, this could have been the game because I couldn't do anything anymore.
Yeah, I think it's just the. It's probably the greed of seeing that you have 5 mana, so you don't have to pay that extra life in that card.
I don't know what's the right play there. I guess it was better to just play the counter spell.
So yeah, the memory lapse resolve. Memory jar resolves thanks to the mana drain, and on the second main phase, Karl is going to have already the 5 mana for the Force of Will from the Force of Will.
Which he can use for artifacts, and well, we'll see.
So one of them is playing a Soul Ring. He's very optimistic there, counting already the spells from the previous main phase, thinking maybe I will get to storm something. Lotus Petal there.
And now he already have
5 storm, and yeah, and suddenly brainstorm, and it's like oh wait.
And brainstorm, even if he doesn't win this turn, at least he can put 2 good cards on top for the next turn after discarding with the memory jar. So
yeah, and actually that's a very relevant thing that you just said, right? Like the good thing, the combo of the memory jar and the brainstorm is that if you have 2 very good cards that you cannot play right now, you know that you're going to discard them at the end of the turn because you just cracked the memory jar. You just put them back with the brainstorm and you have them there waiting for you. There goes another artifact more, all thanks to the mana drain and the turn.
Luckily, he didn't do anything else. But I mean, I don't know if I played that well. Instead of just playing counter spell. I don't remember if I had another blue card for the Force of Will, but I guess I didn't.
We said you had counter spell on your hand before, or other than.
Yes, I had counter spell.
But you didn't plus memory. Yeah. Okay.
But I just hard casted the Force of Will. I don't know. I think I didn't do it
well. So the turn is over. The cards from the memory jar go to the graveyard, which for me is very weird, to be honest. I was discussing that with you guys afterwards, that I don't understand how the memory jar doesn't go, is not exiled. It doesn't go outside of the game. But okay. And here it is. Second time this match for you, the Sliver Queen. Losing white life. Yeah.
I just had to protect it.
And
I would win in 2 turns, probably.
Yep.
I knew he had a balance, which could destroy the Sliver Queen.
And that's why you kept the counter spell, obviously. You had the...
I mean, the good thing about the balance, if it resolved, is that he had more lands than me.
So yeah, at the very least that you are not losing lands, you are just losing your creatures. And the commander can always be recast. So
yeah, the problem is that you have to pay 2 more.
yep, 2 more each
and-
time. Yeah.
And in that case, I wouldn't have mana for counter spell, so
Mm-hmm.
I will see.
So Karl already facing again the Sliver Queen, and definitely wishing that he put back some like sword to closer or something like that on the top of the deck with the brainstorm.
Maybe. But I created a token. The other good thing, I mean, this is something rarely relevant, but the good thing about the Sliver Queen is that it's harder to protect from some kind of diabolic edict or chainless edict because you just create a token and sacrifice it.
Yep.
Here I play my also foil, but simplified Chinese.
Slide
Later one. But I like the original too. I think I will get them too.
Yeah. Look at that. This is like I mean, and if you collect folios cards, you definitely.
And
need
I have it. I have an English one.
Yeah. Obviously, Portal you would get like what was Japanese? Was it released on? Or
Yes.
yeah,
It's the only Asian language for that set.
yeah.
It's strange because the first Portal set was released in all the Asian languages, in Japanese, traditional Chinese, and simplified, but not Portal Second Age.
Mm-hmm. Oh, this card in Japanese has to be so smooth looking. I don't remember like if the Japanese version has also bold letters or it's just the English one though. But like if it has like Japanese bold letters, it has to be amazing. I just love this you know the fact that they decided to forget all of the previous like styles that and the typographies that they've been using, just like put this bold lettering and all. Anyways, the balance is played
I play
And-
my counter spell.
and the balance is answered with your counter spell.
I mean, at this point, I could just play like, I could just let it resolve and play the Sliver Queen later. But I mean, if I just counter it, I would just win next turn.
Yeah. And
And
I guess
have-
I don't see any reason not to use it. Because if he has another way of getting rid of the either the counter spell or getting rid of the Sliver Queen, then again you are back to the, like in this case, the Force of Will. You are back to being in the same place where you can just replay it again. But at the very least, you tried to win this turn.
And I had something else. I don't remember what else. But
The image
memory
froze
lapse.
there, and the memory lapse there.
I'm not convinced about this one. This counter spell.
Yep. Even though in this case was quite useful.
Well,
But yeah, I mean, of course, it's not ideal to, in most cases, it's not ideal to have a Force of Will back on top of the deck. Even though I always give people points for playing something from Homelands.
and here he just considered.
And that was it. And that was the third game, and the Sliver Queen took it in 2 of the games. And I mean, I enjoyed this so much, the whole match, and it really, like, the only thing that annoys me is knowing that all of the matches from the previous rounds were not played live or we're not playing in video, so I cannot like review them and see them and enjoy them. But definitely super cool match. Congratulations. Now I can say like there's no spoilers anymore. Congratulations, Vedast, on winning this tournament. You also got a pack as a prize. Is that correct?
Well, I mean, it was my own pack.
Yeah, but we have to say that there are prizes for the winners of these tournaments. So what was it in this one in this occasion? It was
A Korean Visions booster pack.
correct, a Korean Vision booster pack. Can you imagine having a Korean like vampiric tutor like fresh out of a pack? Beautiful. I mean, I don't know. I probably I'm at a point in which I would probably not crack any pack that is old school.
I
But
wouldn't do it either. It's a waste of money. But well, if you enjoy it enough, it's
yeah, I mean, if
something
it
that
gives you the joy of just like opening it and getting disappointed when you don't get the cards that you want. But anyways, now that we have seen the match, also like saying for everybody who's watching this video, thank you so much for sticking with us for the last hour and 12 minutes or so. We will be starting at the beginning of May, like the description should start anytime soon, or they have already started with us.
yeah, we will start registration soon for the next league,
Mm-hmm.
which will have a very special prize that was customized for us.
Beautiful. I'm looking forward to seeing it, even though, well, I've already seen it. No spoilers given here, though. The tournament will go back to the original vintage format. You can check everything on our website, mtgoldframe.com, and you can register once registrations are open either via our WhatsApp group, our Facebook page, or also our recently created Discord group. We will keep everything updated in all places. And hopefully one of you watching right now this will be playing me in the next finals. It will be also my first tournament too. I'm very excited about that. I haven't still printed my tokens. I'm going to have to run probably a full token deck unless, well, I guess I will definitely play black so that I can add one of my demonic tutors in Italian black border. But other than that, I have very little else that I would use in this format right now. But thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for taking all this time. Vedast, thank you so much for the comments. I had a lot of fun commenting this with you, and hopefully we can do it again soon.
Sure.
All right, bye everyone.
Thank you for watching.
Take care.